When humanity finally made first contact, we didn't get towering gray giants, or sleek, silent ships. We got grapefruit-scented aliens, barely knee-high, tumbling out of a humming sphere the size of a city bus. They called themselves the Cubs of Ghrell, which sounded heroic enough, until one waddled up to Sergeant Darla Hayes, sniffed her boots, and tried to bite her shoelaces. Are you dangerous?" she asked. The cub puffed out his chest and squeaked. "We fear nothing but running out of grapefruit." "Grapefruit?" Darla repeated, completely confused. The entire group of cubs gasped in unison. The sweet sour. Delight. And just like that, humanity learned that the greatest diplomatic tool in the galaxy wasn't lasers, translators, or treaties. It was citrus. The problem was, the Cubs' tiny home planet Ghrell was in the middle of a catastrophic grapefruit shortage. The lead cub, a brave little fellow named Commander Ribsqueak, explained it all with a sorrowful tone. "We lost them," he said. "The bitter bright trees wilted. The great snack is no more." Darla, trying to be practical, asked, "How do you survive without grapefruit?" The cubs looked at each other in sheer horror. "Survive!" Ribsqueak cried out. "We do not! We simply wither away sad, flavorless without joy or zing." Their blue fur drooped like wet mops. It dawned on the soldiers. A civilization had crossed the vast emptiness of space. For a fruit salad. "Private show ever the problem solver," snapped his fingers. "We can ship them some crates, right? Florida, Texas, Pakistan, grapefruit grows in loads of places." The aliens perked up instantly, their little bodies vibrating with hope, enough to feel 30 moons. Shaw's jaw dropped. "Moons. Hey." Squeak. Another cub nodded eagerly. "We cube it, dry it, pickle it, candy it, ferment it, powder it, and freeze it into snack omelets." At that point, Private Shaw fainted. You might think the top brass at the Pentagon would laugh him out of the room, and they did, at first. But then they ran the numbers. Citrus scientists from around the world gathered in emergency conferences. Before the week was over, humanity began planting grapefruit trees like our very survival depended on it. Brazil expanded its orchards in record time. Pakistani farmers started experimenting with hybrid soup, and in Florida, university labs worked around the clock to breed new, frost-resistant varieties. Governments called it ridiculous. YouTubers called it the Great Interstellar Juice Rush. And the cubs helped. It turned out these tiny furballs were engineering geniuses. Even if they couldn't reach the top shelf in a kitchen, they built advanced climate domes that doubled harvest cycles. They set up sonic fences that kept pests away without using a single chemical. They even invented a soil enhancer that, strangely enough, smelled vaguely like cinnamon toast. The cubs might have been small, but with their help, humanity was suddenly on track to feed not only its own billions, but also satisfy an entire alien species' cosmic craving for citrus. Just when everything was going perfectly, a new threat appeared. Massive steel ships dropped from orbit like falling mountains. This was the Shreve Collective, a race of pale six-legged giants with wings like sharpened knives. Their message was brutally simple. The cubs belong to us. Their grapefruit belongs to us. Stand down. Sergeant Darla Hayes stepped forward, her voice steady. "Earth doesn't enslave visitors," she said, then glanced at the terrified cubs huddled behind her. "Especially not the ones that squeak." Ribsqueak let out a proud squeak, as if on cue. The Shreve warriors advanced, their intent clear. The cubs trembled, but humanity stood its ground. Darla raised her rifle, ready to defend her planet's new, fuzzy friends. But the Shreve had made one fatal mistake, one that would change the course of the entire confrontation. They had never, ever eaten a grapefruit. As the tension mounted, the cubs whispered desperately to Darla, "Offer them the taste. Let the flavor decide." Having already witnessed a week of pure citrus-fueled absurdity, Darla complied. She sliced a fresh grapefruit in half and handed it to the towering Shreve commander. The giant sniffed it dismissively, and then took a bite. His menacing wings froze his multiple eyes widened in disbelief. And then, the enormous alien warrior crumpled to his knees, his mandibles quivering with an emotion he'd never known. "What is this?" "Glorious agony," he gasped. "It's grapefruit," Darla replied smugly. "It is lightning. In fruit form," the commander whispered. "It burns. And yet—" "I desire more!" By dusk, the entire invasion fleet was sitting cross-legged in the fields, devouring crate after crate of grapefruit like a pack of hungry toddlers. The Shreve surrendered, not to humanity's weapons, but to its flavor. In the aftermath, a galactic council was formed to manage the fair distribution of fruit across the stars. The Cubs of Ghrell were, naturally, appointed as the official ambassadors of tartness. Human farmers became galactic legends. Their orchards turned into tourist destinations for aliens wanting to take selfies with the legendary fruit trees. Humanity was no longer just a young species stumbling in the dark, the suppliers to the stars, and the protectors of the coop kind. A plaque was hung in the new Interstellar embassy, quoting Sergeant Darla Hayes. "Humanity stands with our little friends. No creature goes snackless. On our watch, Ripsqueak's." Squeaky translation was a bit more direct. Friends share food, especially the good stuff. Years later, the skies of Ghrell glowed with the light of new orchards and incredible floating grapefruit farms. Little cubs, their faces sticky with juice, were told bedtime stories about how, long ago, the great snack had faded. But the kind and generous humans saved them, and somewhere on Earth, Darla would occasionally bite into a grapefruit and smile. Because who would have ever guessed that humanity's greatest legacy in the cosmos wouldn't be winning a war, but sharing a piece of fruit with a friend who really, really needed one. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story about humanity's citrus-powered destiny, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tales from across the galaxy. See you next time.